Welcome to another edition of Utter Hoops. I am so happy to be here today. We are going to be discussing Arizona basketball for the first time on video. It's been a little bit of time since I've recorded a video, but if you've been following me in my newsletter at substack.utterhoops.com or on Twitter, X, you know that I've been putting a lot of attention into Arizona basketball this year. So we're going to create a little companion video to one of the newsletters. And what we're going to be covering today is baseline out of bounds plays, colloquially known as BLOB plays, right? So this is anytime the ball has gone out of bounds on the baseline. Also in college, if there's fouls that are non-shooting fouls or defensive violations of some kind, the ball could end up being inbounded on the baseline. And really that's different from the way that the NBA does it. The NBA only is going to take those out of bounds out on the baseline. They've moved everything else over to the sideline. And that's something I think I would be interested in the NCAA looking at as well. Teams, as they've gotten bigger defensively, really kind of have an advantage on baseline out of bounds. Whereas it used to be that you could draw up some plays to be able to run them to your advantage. Now it's actually difficult to get the ball in. Arizona defensively will put their center, either Mo Krivas or Toby Awaka, up on the ball and make it very difficult for the opponent's inbounder to be able to get the ball in. So that might be a change that I would be interested in the college game looking at. But we're going to go ahead and walk through the series of plays that Arizona has used in the first half, the non-conference portion of the 2025-2026 season. So we're going to start with a play from their game recently against Auburn. Right, so I'll go ahead and let this run through. Anthony Del Orso is going to come off this screen here. Now he's working two-man pick and roll with Tobe Awaka. He's actually able to just kind of pull this over into this little mid-range jumper right there. And we'll go ahead and let this set up again and walk it back a little bit. So Arizona uses kind of three different starting shapes for their baseline out of bounds. This is the one that I would call high. So this is probably their most common shape used, this high set here, where they put four players up on the top here. And then they always have their point guard. In this case, it's Braden Burries, but a lot of times Jaden Bradley is the trigger man, your inbounder underneath. Again, sometimes teams will put their center up against that, and it makes it fairly difficult. Arizona had a difficult time against Florida in getting the ball in. But the top man here, Dwayne Aristode, is going to be the first cutter on this version here. So he's kind of my high man cut. Right here, he's going to go right down the middle of the lane, and that's going to open up space for Del Orso to come off that curl over to the ball side. So we'll go ahead and watch that one again. Del Orso comes over to this side. So most of what Arizona does is trying to kind of move that ball over with a shooting guard coming into the strong side to be able to make this catch. And again, the first important thing is just safely get the ball in bounds. And then most of the time they have their posts over on the strong side. They'll bring those guys over to set that ball screen there. So the post started on the ball side. We middle cut, we double, we got it in. Burries is going to clear out the other side, and that allows them to run screen and roll from there. So we'll go ahead and run through the rest of this one here. Delhi gets it into that one there. Right. This is the kind of same play. Aristotle comes around. Now here, Awaka's coming to set the screen before he even gets a chance to. Del Orso is driving there. Of course, there's also going to be opportunities where the guard comes around and he is open, right, to shoot this one here. So that looks like a pretty good shot, him coming off of that. But, you know, one of the concerns I would have about this play is coming off of these doubles here. Arizona's almost always curling this into the mid-range, right? And we've talked about this a little bit already on our newsletters. Arizona doesn't shoot a ton of threes, but against some of their high major quad one, quad two type opponents, what you've seen is them translate some of those opportunities into these mid-rangers. It's hard to tell a good shooter like Anthony Del Orso that this 15-footer is maybe not a good look, but we know statistically, you know, these end up in the high 30, high 40%. Maybe not the highest value shot. Maybe we want to pass this up and go to something else. But they get good opportunities like this. Here's another one with Del Orso able to kind of pull up in that area, and then Braden Burries kind of gets a similar shot here against Connecticut. Again, hard ones to pass up when you're getting them that open in that area, but maybe not the best shot that they could get. So if we go back to the second one of Anthony Del Orso, you'll notice Dwayne Aristode, who was that first cutter here, is not in the middle of the floor. He's curling around the outside. Little hard for me to tell whether this is a different design where they want to go double curls here, or whether this is something that Aristode is doing on his own, because I have picked it up more on Aristode than on anyone else. And we can kind of see as he goes through, he clears the attention of some people on that side as he goes through. Same thing's going to happen here early in the season against Embry-Riddle. They don't end up actually getting something there. And then he actually abandons that cut on a play later in the game versus Embry-Riddle that they're able to get the ball in. But he has taken a lot of attention when he kind of makes those extra cuts there. So I thought it was an interesting thing to note. The guy that's had the most success, though, is Arvin Karchenkov. He's just more physical on this first cut here. You can see that Abilene Christian is up putting pressure there. And Karchenkov just puts a swim move on his defender here, and he's beat right away. Obviously able to get to the basket there and draw the foul. He had another opportunity like that against UConn. It gets covered up a little bit because the defender covering the inbounder ends up shading towards the basket side, which makes it a little difficult to get that pass there. But Karchenkov does a great job sealing his man. However, that makes a pretty easy passing angle, and Del Orso's open coming around to be able to shoot this one here. Now, when we go ahead and reset this one, though, I do have a little bit of question if this is kind of the high cut and double, or this is actually supposed to be a triple screen that Karchenkov decides to slip, right? He kind of goes into this. It's looking like he's going to set this screen here, and now he realizes if he cuts, he's going to be pretty open, and so he comes off of that one there. And the reason I have some question about that is that Arizona will run the triple screen as well. Here's a triple to get Del Orso a shot there. One of the things that I really like about this one is that when they're running the triple instead of the double, it seems like it's drawing them more into 3-point range. This is a great shot for Del Orso being able to come off that. They also get one here with Dwayne Aristode coming off that triple screen to be able to get a similar shot there, right? If they aren't able to get the shot off the triple, just like in the double, they're now bringing to roll pick and roll and two-man game there. Krivas with a really good take to the basket there. And you notice, again, Jaden Bradley's going to get out of the way, going opposite, and just a nice little pass there by Del Orso to be able to get that action out of that. Now, another way that they will play it here, and this looks similar to triples, but this is definitely a different call, is where they go triple curls, essentially. So rather than have those first two guys wait to set a screen for the guard coming across, Koa Pete is actually going to be the first cutter. We'll kind of run that back. Koa Pete is going to kind of cut, and he's looking for it, and then Karchenkov will cut, and now you get Burries here. Again, ball comes in, and you're playing two-man with Mo Krivas. Burries feels good about being able to take that one to the basket. But similar play here against Florida. I've mentioned Florida already. They were switching heavily on everything. They've got the post up covering. Arizona really had a little bit of a tough time getting these inbounds here. They just get a safety throw to Owaka. So haven't seen that they've been super successful with the triple curls as of yet. Now, we're going to look at the second shape that Arizona uses. So here they're just going to use the box shape here. We can kind of highlight that Krivas and Koa Pete are still our posts. They're on the ball side here. That'll matter a little bit later. But this is still going to end up looking pretty much the same. Okay, Krivas is now going to pop, and they're running a double screen in this case. Koa Pete's able to draw the foul. What I like about this is that this ends up being very similar to the high cut double action that they ran. If you kind of picture Krivas now being the inbounder, so you've rotated everything maybe 60 degrees or something like that of where these screening angles are going to be able to come. That's going to give Burries a little bit more shape to be able to come off of these screens here and not end up in the mid range. I think this is one that, if certainly if his man tries to, in some manner, go under these screens here to be able to get through, then Burries will be able to pop out to the 3 range here, and then we'll see some other actions off of that as well. In this case, they switch. Koa Pete's man jumps out here to be able to take that away, and Koa Pete can just slip right in here and draw that foul. So we'll look at Del Orso coming off this same action, and his man trails him around those screens, and so Del Orso just gets a nice curl right to the basket here, and I think he does a good job here. You'll notice the ball has already been inbounded before Del Orso starts to make his move here. He's really taking his time, setting his man up, shaping how he wants to come off this. And again, I think he can pop to the 3 line if there's some reason to do that. But as his man trails, really he does a good job coming in there. And that's not the only time he did that. We do have another set against Bethune Cookman where he gets that same little curl to the basket and gets an and one on that one as well. In that same format, another way that they could do this is just kind of traditional classic, like screen the screener action here. So Del Orso and Nelson are the far side, the weak side, the 2 guards. You've still got the 2 posts on the ball side here. So you might be expecting Toby Awaka to just pop, or sorry, this is Dwayne Aristotle here playing as a post, pop into the spot here, and Del Orso to be the cutter around. This is a nice like adjustment for that, where instead he's setting this back screen on Koa Pete, and then he's getting the screen coming off here. Now, my belief is that Aristotle is then supposed to come screen the ball as well. That's what Arizona has done in every other set. But in this case, he kind of just floats off. We'll look at one here where Krivas is now setting that screen for Burries coming off. And you see Krivas immediately is into that screen there. Burries is a little bit off balance here, so he ends up just tossing the ball to Krivas. But that's one that they are coming to screen right away. So that triangle screen the screener is another way that they can use that same setup there. Arizona's also has kind of a group of kind of quick action plays. One out of this same box here that they get the lob versus Utah Tech. And this sets up nicely again because you've now used Krivas as the popper in that pop and then double screen action, where Del Orso would be the one coming around. You're still in this same box set we've been looking at. Now you get his man leaning that way. You use a shooter as a screener, which is always very effective. And now you get him coming right to the front of the rim. They've tried to run this once before. This is the only lob play that they've ran so far, but I think we keep this one in mind. You're probably going to see this at another point this season. For many of the other quick action plays that they've run, they inbound the ball to Koa Pete. This actually starts in a box. It's a little bit hard to see, so we'll run it back. We'll just kind of let this one run all the way through. Karchenkov gets a good cut to the basket here, and he ended up not being able to finish that one. But watch. Let's get this paused here. Okay. So Karchenkov started here and Burry started here, right? In the same box shape, but in this case, the posts were down, which might be a little bit of a signal of what they were going to be able to do here, right? And Karchenkov comes this way, Burries comes this way, and that clears the space for Koa Pete to kind of pop down into this area here to be able to get his catch. Now they're going to pop and swing the ball across here. And this is an action that they use as part of their offense. It's probably their 3rd most common offense that they run is this flex action here. So for people who maybe aren't as familiar with flex, what you're going to have is, again, screen the screener type action. So Jaden Bradley is setting a screen for Ivan Karchenkov to be able to come across the baseline on a shuffle cut. And then Koa Pete, after swinging this ball, is setting a down screen that Jaden Bradley could come off of that and up here. Now, in this case, they're not actually going to end up needing that because Karchenkov is open on the first cut here. He's really got to be able to finish that one. But that's a good action that they get here. Um, the next two are a little bit too bad because we get them late coming out of the TV, switching between camera angles. But we'll walk this one back as far as we can. So this is actually it started in this same box set here. Burries, who's now on the floor, was the inbounder over here on this side. He's now stepped in here. This is coming right out of a timeout. So again, it looks like you're going to get that flex shuffle screen action over here. But this has all just been misdirection. It's all set up that what they're going to do is try to run Toby Awaka as a back cutter, a backdoor cut here. You can see him plant hard on that left foot there, push off. It's a great block to be able to recover that. But I kind of like that play. And then later in the same game, you get another action where the ball goes into Koa Pete, but there's action already occurring on that. So let's go ahead and pause here on this one. And again, I believe that they started in this same box formation, right? Burries would have started up in this area here. Awaka would have started down here, and Aristo would have started up on the other corner in cleared space. So Burries goes down and then back up, where Awaka popped up and then curled to screen. Right. So you're essentially creating this zoom action, right? Where you're going to have a post, set a screen for a guard over on this side here. And then you're going to bring that guard into what's going to be like a little dribble handoff coming around from Koa Pete. So I really liked this one. I think this is one you could be confident you can get a shot in. So maybe something late clock, either late shot clock, late half, late game, where you need to be able to get a shot off here. There's a lot that happens rather quickly in this one, but I think you could run this with maybe even 2 seconds left, 2 to 3 seconds left, and you're going to feel clearly confident that Burries is going to be able to get a shot here. He ends up passing that one off. They end up running it back to something else, but cool little adjustments coming out of timeouts. So we saw in some of those special plays, inbounding the ball to Koa Pete, but they also have just recently started adding ISOing him and letting him be the creator on these plays. And we'll finish this one with a foul here. This is our third shape that you're going to see these the Wildcats be in. I'm calling this cross right now. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Right. In this shape here, all they're really trying to do is get Koa Pete the ball over on this side. They're going to accomplish this by setting a flare screen on the weak side, kind of clear that out. And at the same time, Tobo Waka is just going to make his way over to the weak side here. Right. That's going to allow Koa Pete to pop to this area here, get that pass, and be able to work from there. Um, Pete has been extremely effective when he has drawn additional defenders and then made a pass out of it. He's not gotten all the way to the basket as often as Arizona might like. And so you probably want to avoid some of the mid-range contested off the dribble jumpers here. This shows two examples of Pete making really good passes here, and he's occupying the defense first. This one they end up getting a stick back by Mokrivas on a Karchenkov basket. But this is really good by Pete. He really takes that dribble hard to the paint to be able to make that the defender come to him. I'd love to see Burries just fire this one here. He decides to make the extra pass, but it's a good drive by Karchenkov, and Krivas is right there to be able to stick it back in. Here's that same kind of cross setup, but the other way that you can use Koa Pete rather than a creator is as a finisher here. And this is the other version of kind of cross that they have here. So again, you're in the same cross setup with the post towards the strong side, but rather than isoing Pete going that way, you're running this double screen for Burries to come across, and it's really cleared out so that Pete can screen and roll back hard to the ball. This is going to be particularly effective if you're playing against teams who switch. So we have two clips here against Abilene Christian, where you know that they're going to switch. Pete puts the new defender on his back, seals him right back to the front of the rim. In the second half, you get the same kind of cut. It's a little bit better covered up, but because they've switched that screen, that ball can still go into Pete, who's able to draw that foul. You see here, Pete sets the screen. Uh, Karchenkov comes down, but when he starts to roll, Pete's original man, who's now covering Karchenkov, stays in a little bit. I'd like to see Karchenkov either cut right back in behind him, or he should be popping corner here, where if he catches it, it's a three look there. But still, what he does realize is when the ball comes into him, Pete has a huge mismatch there. He goes in there. Pete needs to go right to the front of the rim, so he can definitively draw that foul there. So that's the sets that Arizona has run so far this season. We're through 12 games at the time that I'm making this video. If anything gets added in the final non-conference game versus South Dakota State, I'll certainly amend it. But obviously, Arizona's got a lot of different options here, but they know what their bread and butter is, and they stay with it. Again, if I was looking for anything, the back lob out of that box set, and also that zoom action for the shooting guard were two that I kind of liked the best. I've only seen two of the lob and one of the zoom action so far this season, so they're not plays that they're going to go too often, but maybe coming out of timeouts, that would be something to kind of keep an eye open for. So that's baseline out of bounds for Arizona. Please do give me a follow on X at Utter Hoops. Also, my newsletter, substack.utterhoops.com. I've got Arizona content, but I also am going to have more NBA content as well, especially as the trade deadline is coming up here. So thank you guys very much for the follow. Would love to see any comments and have discussions on it. Thank you all very much. Bye.